Chosen one, why is your heart pounding right now? Why did your finger freeze mid-scroll? Why at this exact second does it feel like something unseen just whispered your name in the darkness? Because it did. Chosen one. 55 seconds. That's all you have. 55 seconds to decide whether you'll keep drifting through digital noise or step into the courtroom of heaven where your case has just been called. 55 seconds before the scroll closes and the blessing reassigns to someone else who said yes when you said maybe later. You thought life hit pause. Heaven just pressed record. Listen, do you hear it? That faint ticking? That's not your clock. That's eternity counting down. Every tick echoes in the throne room. Every second is a decision. Every heartbeat is a choice between scrolling past your destiny or stepping into the test God Himself designed specifically for you. Here's the truth that's going to shatter everything you thought you knew. You're not here by accident. The algorithm didn't find you. Heaven intercepted your scroll because your name, your actual name, was just spoken in chambers of light by voices you won't hear until you cross over. And they said 3 words that made every angel lean forward. It's time now. Right now, somewhere in the invisible realm, court is in session. Ancient scrolls are being unrolled with your birth date inscribed in golden ink. Evidence is being presented, every tear you cried alone, every prayer you whispered in desperation, every moment you wanted to quit but didn't. The accuser is pacing, the advocate is standing, and the judge, your father, is waiting to see what you'll do in the next 43 seconds. Will you stay? Or will you scroll? Because here's what terrifies hell. You don't even know what you're carrying yet. You've been walking around thinking you're ordinary, thinking you're forgotten, thinking maybe God's promises were for everyone else but you. But heaven sees something different. They see the weapon you're about to become. They see the lineage you're about to break. They see the revival that's waiting in your bloodstream. And the enemy? Oh, he sees it too. That's why he sent the betrayal. That's why he orchestrated the isolation. That's why he whispered, "You're too old, and you've missed your moment, and nothing ever works out for you." Because if he could get you to scroll past this message, he could delay your awakening for another season. But you didn't scroll. You're still here. And that alone, that divine defiance in your spirit, is proof you've been marked. Type "I'm listening" in the comments if something in your chest just recognized this isn't random. If your spirit already knows this moment is coated in the supernatural. Because when you type those 2 words, you're not just engaging with a video, you're entering a sacred agreement. You're telling heaven, I'm done running, I'm done hiding, I'm ready for whatever you've been preparing me for. Before we go deeper, before I tell you what heaven is about to release over your life in the next hour, let me pause and honor those of you who have supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're sowing seeds into ground that's been plowed by prayer and watered by faith. You're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling, lost in their waiting, paralyzed by their pain. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your time, your attention, your open heart, it all matters. And if this message is already resonating with your soul, go ahead, sow a seed, not out of obligation, but out of recognition that when we give into what God is doing, we participate in the harvest. But listen to me carefully, chosen one. What you're about to experience in the next 59 minutes isn't motivation. This isn't inspiration. This is divine intervention crashing into your reality like lightning splitting the midnight sky. You thought you came here for encouragement. God brought you here for transformation. You thought this was just another faith video. This is a courtroom summons. The clock is still ticking. Heaven is still watching. And in just a moment, I'm going to tell you exactly what God is testing you for and why everything you've survived up until this moment was preparation for what's about to be released. Don't you dare look away now. Your 55 seconds are up. Now eternity begins. How long have you been carrying it? That invisible weight pressing down on your chest at 3 a.m. when the world sleeps but you can't. How many nights have you laid there staring at the ceiling, feeling something so heavy you can't name it, so real you can't shake it, wondering if anyone else in this entire world knows what this crushing pressure feels like? Let me tell you something that's going to change everything. That weight isn't what you think it is. You've been calling it anxiety. You've been naming it depression. You've been labeling it loneliness, fear, regret, or the natural consequence of aging in a world that's forgotten how to honor its elders. You've whispered to yourself in the darkness, maybe I'm just tired, maybe I'm just broken. Maybe this is just what happens when you've lived long enough to bury dreams and watch doors close. But what if I told you that weight, that specific, crushing, unexplainable heaviness that makes you feel like you're the only person on earth carrying this burden? What if that's not punishment at all? What if that's divine attention? Picture this with me. Right now, in this very moment, heaven is leaning close, not just watching, leaning. The way a master craftsman leans over his finest work. The way a father leans close to a child, taking their first steps. The way an artist leans into the canvas when creating their masterpiece. Heaven is studying you, not with disappointment, with fascination, with intensity, with the kind of attention reserved only for those being prepared for something extraordinary. You thought God forgot about you. He's been watching your every move with the focus of a jeweler examining a diamond under magnification. You thought your suffering was random. It's been strategic, every ounce of pressure precisely measured, every moment of pain purposefully positioned to refine what heaven sees inside you. James chapter 1 verse 3 tells us this truth in words that should shake us awake. The testing of your faith produces perseverance. But let me break that down in language that hits different when you're 70 years old, with arthritis in your hands and loneliness in your heart. Testing doesn't produce weakness. Testing produces staying power, the ability to remain standing when everything around you says fall, the capacity to believe when circumstances scream doubt, the strength to trust God when your bank account says panic, when your doctor's report says worry, when your empty house says you've been forgotten. That weight you're carrying, it's not breaking you, it's building you. But I know what you've been asking. I know the question that keeps circling your mind like a vulture over desert ground. You've asked it in the shower where no one can hear you cry. You've asked it driving alone in your car. You've asked it staring at old photographs of people who aren't here anymore. Why me, Lord? Why me? Why does everyone else seem to glide through life while I trudge through mud? Why do other people get easy answers while my prayers seem to bounce off the ceiling? Why does my body ache, my mind race, my heart break, my soul feel so desperately alone in a world of 8 billion people? And here's the answer that's going to wreck you and rebuild you in the same breath. Because you can be trusted with pressure. God doesn't test everyone the same way. He doesn't apply the same heat to clay that he applies to steel. He doesn't refine copper the way he refines gold. And beloved, you with your scars and your stories, with your resilience and your refusal to quit, even when quitting would be easier, you're gold. Pure gold. And gold doesn't reveal its value in comfort. Gold reveals its brilliance in the furnace. Think about the blacksmith's forge. When he takes raw steel, rough, dull, weak, and places it into flames so hot they would melt lesser metals, he's not punishing the steel. He's revealing what's hidden inside. Every strike of the hammer isn't cruelty, it's craftsmanship. Bang. Impurities removed. Bang. Weakness eliminated. Bang. Strength multiplied. And with each strike, that piece of rough metal transforms into a blade so sharp, so strong, so valuable, that it becomes an heirloom passed down through generations. You are that steel. And every sleepless night, that's the fire. Every health scare, that's the hammer. Every moment of crushing loneliness when you wondered if anyone even remembers your name, that's the strike that's removing everything in you that won't survive eternity, and reinforcing everything in you that will shake nations. But here's where most people miss it. They feel the weight and they run. They feel the pressure and they hide. They feel the heat and they beg God to turn down the temperature. And God, in His mercy, sometimes does. He releases them from the test. He lifts the pressure. He removes the weight. And they never discover who they could have become. Listen to me. That weight pressing on your chest at night, the one that makes you gasp for air, that makes you question everything, that makes you wonder if God is even listening, that's not evidence of His absence. That's proof of His presence. Because God only applies pressure to vessels He's preparing for purpose. He only tests foundations He's planning to build on. He only refines metals He intends to use. You've been asking, when will this end? God's been answering, when you're ready for what I'm preparing you for. You've been praying, take this away. God's been responding, not until it's produced in you what I need for the mission ahead. You've felt invisible, forgotten, abandoned by a God who promised never to leave. But what if, stay with me here, what if the silence wasn't absence? What if it was concentration? The kind of focus a surgeon has during a delicate operation. The kind of attention a master teacher gives a student taking the final exam. The kind of intensity a general has when positioning his most valuable soldier for the most critical battle. Your isolation wasn't rejection, it was preparation. Your suffering wasn't punishment, it was promotion. Every tear you cried in secret watered the ground for a harvest you couldn't see yet. Every prayer you whispered in desperation built an altar in heaven with your name engraved on it. Every moment you wanted to quit, but didn't, added another layer of divine steel to your backbone. Do you understand what this means? That weight isn't trying to crush you. It's trying to crown you. But, and this is crucial, you have to stop fighting it. You have to stop resenting it. You have to stop asking God to remove what He's using to refine you. Because the moment you surrender to the weight, the moment you say, okay, God, I don't understand this, but I trust. You're doing something I can't see yet. That's the moment the weight shifts from burden to blessing. That's the moment you stop being tested and start being trusted. If you've felt this weight, if you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's sitting on your chest right now as you hear these words, I need you to do something. Type in the comments, I feel it too. Not for me, for heaven. Let the invisible realm see that you're still standing. Let the angels witness that pressure didn't break you. Let God know that even though you don't understand, you're staying in the fire. Because here's what happens next. Here's what comes after the weight. Here's what's waiting on the other side of this test that's been crushing you and refining you and preparing you for something your finite mind can't even comprehend yet. And if you thought the weight was heavy, wait until you feel the glory. You know what haunts you most? It's not the storm, it's not the battle, it's not even the betrayal. It's the silence, that deafening, suffocating silence when you cry out to God and hear nothing. When you fall to your knees at 3 a.m, tears streaming down your face, pouring out your heart in desperate prayer, and the only response is the echo of your own voice bouncing off the walls of an empty room. You prayed for healing. Silence. You begged for provision. Silence. You pleaded for direction. Silence. And in that silence, the enemy whispers his most venomous lie. God has forgotten you. Listen to me, chosen one. I need you to lean in close, because what I'm about to tell you will shatter the prison of doubt that silence has built around your faith. That silence, that agonizing, faith-testing, soul-crushing silence. It's not abandonment, it's observation. Think about it. When does a teacher speak during a test? Never. The teacher doesn't hover over your shoulder feeding you answers. The teacher doesn't interrupt your concentration with commentary. The teacher sits back, watches, and waits. Not because they don't care about your success, but because the test only reveals what you truly know when you must stand on your own understanding. God isn't silent because He's absent. He's silent because He's watching. He's observing. He's witnessing what you'll do when the training wheels come off. He's documenting what you'll choose when his voice isn't immediately guiding your every step. You wanted to hear his voice? You've heard it for years. You've been in the classroom. You've sat through the sermons. You've read the word. You've felt his presence in worship. The teaching season is over, beloved. This is test day. And heaven is watching how you wait, not how you win. Because here's what breaks hell's back and silences every demonic accusation. Faith that stands firm when God goes quiet. Faith that keeps believing when the heavens feel like brass. Faith that continues worshiping when the worship doesn't immediately change your circumstances. The prophet Habakkuk understood this torture. Chapter 1, verse 2, he cries out, "How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen?" Sound familiar? That's not just ancient poetry. That's your journal entry from last Tuesday. That's your prayer from last night. That's the question that's been burning in your chest for months, maybe years. But watch what happens. By chapter 3, verse 17 through 19, Habakkuk arrives at a faith so pure it defies logic. Though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord, I will be joyful in God my Savior. Did you catch that? Though, yet I will rejoice. That's not blind optimism, that's battle-tested faith. That's the kind of trust that only gets forged in the furnace of divine silence. Psalm 46:10 commands us, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still. Stop thrashing. Stop demanding. Stop interpreting silence as rejection. Be still long enough to remember who he is. Be still long enough to recall what he's already done. Be still long enough to trust that his silence doesn't negate his sovereignty. You think God is punishing you with silence. He's protecting you with preparation. Because what's coming next in your life, the doors about to open, the favor about to flow, the ministry about to manifest it, requires a version of you that doesn't need constant confirmation. It requires a faith so solid that when God speaks again, you'll be ready to obey immediately without 1,000 follow-up questions. The silence is building your spiritual endurance. Every unanswered prayer is developing your trust muscles. Every moment you choose to believe despite the silence, you're graduating to a higher level of spiritual maturity. Job sat in ashes for 42 chapters before God spoke one word. But when God finally broke his silence in chapter 38, Job's entire theology, his understanding of divine sovereignty, his comprehension of heaven's perspective, was revolutionized in a single encounter. The silence wasn't punishment. It was preparation for a promotion Job couldn't have handled without first sitting in the stillness. Moses wandered in a desert for 40 years before the burning bush spoke. David hid in caves running from Saul while heaven stayed quiet about his promised kingship. Joseph languished in an Egyptian prison, interpreting dreams while God worked behind scenes Joseph couldn't see. And you right now, you're in your own wilderness, your own cave, your own prison, wondering why God won't speak. But what if I told you he's speaking through the silence? What if the lesson you're supposed to learn can only be taught when his audible voice withdraws? What if your faith is being refined into something so pure, so powerful, so unshakable that when this season ends, nothing in hell will ever be able to make you doubt again? Here's the truth that's going to change everything. Faith that cannot be tested, cannot be trusted. Let that sink in. Faith that's never been examined in the crucible of silence. That's never been forced to stand alone without constant divine affirmation. That's never had to choose belief over evidence that's not faith. That's spiritual dependency. That's emotional crutches. That's training wheels. But the faith God is building in you right now, the kind that worships in the waiting, the kind that praises through the pain, the kind that declares, "Yet will I trust him," when every circumstance screams you shouldn't. That's the faith that moves mountains. That's the faith that casts out demons. That's the faith that raises the dead. That's the faith heaven has been waiting to unleash through your life. So when the silence feels unbearable, remember this: God isn't testing whether you can hear his voice. He already knows you can. He's testing whether you'll trust his character when you can't hear his voice. The silence isn't the end of the conversation. It's the most important part of it. If that hit you deep, if something in your spirit just cracked open and light flooded in, type "I still believe" in the comments right now. Not because I need to see it, because your soul needs to declare it. Because when you type those 3 words, you're not just engaging with a message, you're making a covenant. You're telling heaven and hell, the silence won't break me, the waiting won't defeat me. I still believe. And chosen one, if you can say that, if you can stand in the silence and still believe, you've just passed the test. Most people fail. But here's what you need to understand next. The silence wasn't designed to break you. It was designed to prepare you for the sound that's about to shatter everything. Now listen to me, chosen one. I need you to stop for just a moment and think about the last 6 months of your life. The betrayals that came out of nowhere. The doors that slammed shut when you were inches away from walking through them. The diagnosis that shook your foundation. The relationship that crumbled despite your prayers. The financial blow that left you gasping for air. And in the middle of all that pain, you asked God the question that's been burning in your chest like hot coals. Why? Why me? Why now? Haven't I suffered enough? Here's what's going to shock you. What's going to revolutionize everything you thought you understood about your trials. You're not being punished. You're being purified. That fire you're walking through right now, that's not hell trying to destroy you. That's heaven refining you. And there's a massive difference between the two that most believers never understand until they're standing on the other side of the flame. Malachi 3:3 says, "He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, not gold, silver." You know why? Because the silversmith doesn't just throw the metal in the fire and walk away. No, beloved. He sits, he watches, he waits. His eyes never leave the crucible. He's monitoring the temperature, controlling the intensity, protecting the process. And here's what will bring you to tears. He knows it's done when he can see his own reflection in the silver. Do you understand what that means? God is watching you in this fire right now. He hasn't abandoned you. He hasn't forgotten you. He's sitting right there, his face close to the flame, waiting until he can see his own image reflected in your character, your faith, your very soul. You thought this trial was random. It's strategic. You thought this pain was punishment. It's preparation. You thought this fire was meant to destroy you. It's designed to reveal the gold that's been hidden under layers of doubt, fear, and religion. Look at Daniel's 3 friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, thrown into a furnace so hot it killed the soldiers who threw them in. The king heated it 7 times hotter than normal because he wanted to make absolutely certain they would be annihilated. 7 times the normal temperature. That's not a trial, that's an execution. But here's what makes hell furious and heaven rejoice. They walked out without even the smell of smoke on their clothes. Not a single hair singed, not a burn mark anywhere. And when the king looked into that furnace, he saw 4 figures walking around, and the 4th one looked like the Son of God. Chosen one, hear me clearly. The more intense your fire, the closer God is to you right now. When the heat gets turned up 7 times hotter than you think you can bear, that's when Jesus steps into the flame with you. That's when heaven says, this one is worth protecting. This one is being prepared for something hell cannot be allowed to stop. What feels like burning is actually heaven baking brilliance into your bones. What feels like destruction is actually divine construction. What feels like you're falling apart is actually you being put back together according to heaven's original blueprint, not the world's counterfeit version of who you were supposed to be. But I need to tell you something that's going to require every ounce of faith you have left. The refining process cannot be rushed. Silver doesn't purify at room temperature. Gold doesn't reveal its true value without heat. And you cannot become who God created you to be without walking through the fire that removes everything that was never supposed to be part of your story. Every impurity has to go. Every false identity has to burn off. Every people-pleasing tendency has to melt away. Every limitation that religion placed on you has to turn to ash. Every lie the enemy whispered about your worth has to be consumed in the flame. And yes, it hurts. God never said it wouldn't hurt, but He promised He would never leave you. He promised the fire wouldn't consume you. He promised that what comes out on the other side will be so pure, so powerful, so precisely aligned with divine purpose, that hell itself will regret ever attacking you in the first place. You are gold that refused to melt. You are silver that's about to reflect the very face of God. You are the weapon the enemy tried to destroy in the furnace, but all he did was remove the rust and sharpen the blade. Right now, I need you to make this a covenant moment. In the comments below, type these 3 words: refine me, Lord. Don't just read them, declare them. Speak them out loud wherever you are. Because when you surrender to the refining process, when you stop fighting the fire and start trusting the refiner, everything shifts. You're not just enduring anymore, you're being transformed. Say it with me. Refine me, Lord, because here's the truth that's going to carry you through the rest of this test. The more intense the fire, the purer the reflection. The hotter the trial, the greater the testimony. The deeper the pain, the more powerful the purpose that's being forged in your spirit right this second. God doesn't waste fire. He doesn't waste pain. And He certainly doesn't waste the precious metal of your life on anything less than His absolute best. So when the heat intensifies, when it feels like you can't take one more day, one more hour, one more minute in this furnace, remember this. The silversmith is watching. His eyes are on you. And He's waiting to see His reflection shine through you with a brilliance that will blind every demon that ever tried to convince you that you were ordinary. You're not ordinary. You're being refined. And what's about to emerge from this fire will leave the world speechless and heaven standing in applause. But the fire isn't finished yet, because there's something else God needs to burn away before He can release what He's been holding in reserve for you. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what that is and why the enemy has been fighting so hard to keep you from discovering it. Here's what nobody tells you about being chosen. It doesn't feel like glory. It feels like disruption. Right now, at this very moment, you're standing at a crossroads that's been glowing in the desert of your life for longer than you want to admit. You've seen it. You've felt it. That pull between staying where it's safe and stepping into what's sacred. Between the comfort of what you know and the calling that won't stop whispering your name at 3 in the morning. And you thought you could ignore it. You thought maybe if you kept yourself busy enough, distracted enough, comfortable enough, that burning in your chest would eventually fade. But it didn't fade, did it? It got stronger, louder, more relentless, because God doesn't call the comfortable. He disrupts them. Look at Abraham. 75 years old, settled, successful, comfortable in Ur with his family, his wealth, his predictable life. Then God shows up with the most unreasonable request in Genesis 12:1. Leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. Notice what God didn't say. He didn't say, here's the address. He didn't provide a map. He didn't guarantee safety. He just said, go. Leave everything familiar. Trust me with everything uncertain. And Abraham had to choose comfort or calling. Every single chosen one in Scripture faced this exact fork in the road. Moses had 40 years of shepherd life in Midian. Quiet, simple, safe. Then a bush starts burning, and God says, I'm sending you back to Egypt, back to the place of your trauma, back to Pharaoh's palace, back to the people who want you dead. Exodus 3:10. Moses had to choose comfort or calling. Esther was living her best life in the palace. Beautiful queen, royal privileges. She could have stayed silent, kept her heritage hidden, enjoyed her position while her people perished. But Mordecai sent her the message that still echoes through eternity. Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for just such a time as this? Esther 4:14. She had to choose comfort or calling, and now it's your turn. You feel it, don't you? That tension in your spirit, that divine restlessness that no vacation can cure, no retirement can satisfy, no grandchildren's laughter can completely silence. Because God planted something in you that's bigger than your comfort zone, and it's trying to break through the concrete of your carefully constructed life. The heavens are watching how you respond, not just observing, grading, recording. Because this isn't a casual conversation, this is a sacred examination, and your obedience is the answer key. Here's what terrifies most people at this crossroads. Calling always costs something that comfort gets to keep. Abraham had to leave his country. Moses had to face his fears. Esther had to risk her life. And you're going to have to release something you've been holding on to like a security blanket. Maybe it's the approval of people who will never understand your assignment. Maybe it's the predictable rhythm of days that feel safe, but leave your soul starving. Maybe it's the retirement dream that looks perfect on paper, but leaves your purpose buried in the backyard. Because here's the truth that's going to shatter your excuses. You can have a comfortable life or a called life, but beloved, you cannot have both. Comfort says you've done enough. Calling says I'm not finished with you yet. Comfort says protect what you have. Calling says risk it all for what I'm about to give you. Comfort says you're too old for this. Calling says I've been preparing you your entire life for this exact moment. And right now, right this second, you're being presented with the most important choice of your entire existence. Not when you were younger, not when it would have been easier. Now, at this age, with these scars, with this history, with this much on the line. Why now? Because destiny isn't discovered in comfort, it's decided in crisis. You want to know why everything fell apart last year? Why relationships shifted? Why that door slammed shut? Why you ended up more isolated than you've ever been? God was clearing the crossroads. He was removing everything that would make staying comfortable seem reasonable. He was burning every bridge back to Egypt, so the only path forward would be through the Red Sea. Something is about to shift in your life. You're going to feel it before you see it. It's going to feel like pressure building in your chest, like urgency rising in your spirit, like heaven itself is holding its breath waiting for your response. And here's what hell is terrified you'll figure out. The blessing isn't in choosing right. The blessing is released when you choose calling over comfort, when you say yes to disruption, when you trade safety for significance. Type 555 inches the comments your prophetic yes, if you're done playing it safe, if you're ready to burn the ships, if you're choosing calling over comfort, even though you can't see the full picture, even though people will think you've lost your mind, even though it means leaving behind everything familiar. Because the question isn't whether you're qualified, the question is whether you're willing. And beloved, the crossroads won't wait forever. Heaven is grading this moment. The scroll is open, your name is written, and the angels are leaning forward, asking the same question Abraham heard, Moses heard, Esther heard. Will you go? You've whispered it, haven't you? In the darkness of 3 a.m. when sleep won't come and the weight feels too heavy, you've whispered those 5 words that you were too ashamed to say out loud. I can't do this anymore. Go ahead, admit it right now, because that whisper, that moment when you thought you were surrendering to defeat, that wasn't your breaking point. That was your transformation moment, disguised as failure. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. What feels like you're being crushed isn't destruction, it's reconstruction. You're not falling apart, you're falling into place. And there's a massive difference between the two. You know what a seed has to do before it becomes a tree. It has to split open, it has to break. Its shell, the very thing that protected it, has to crack and die so that life can emerge. And in that moment when the seed is breaking, if it could speak, it would probably whisper the same thing you did. I can't do this anymore. But breaking isn't the end of the seed story. Breaking is the beginning. You know what a butterfly has to do before it can fly? It has to tear apart the cocoon. It has to fight. It has to struggle against the very walls that once protected it. And scientists will tell you that if you try to help a butterfly by cutting open its cocoon, it will die. Because the struggle, the breaking, is what forces fluid into its wings and gives it the strength to fly. Your struggle isn't killing you. It's preparing you to soar. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Every tear you've cried, God counted. Psalm 56:8 says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." He didn't just notice your pain. He documented it. He bottled it. He's keeping receipts on every moment hell tried to destroy you. Because what you thought was waste, those tears, those sleepless nights, those prayers that felt like they hit the ceiling, that was actually currency being deposited into your heavenly account. And the withdrawal is coming. You cried, he counted. You broke, he built. You fell, he formed. You surrendered, he strengthened. You whispered, I can't, and he thundered back, but I can. How many times have you stood at your kitchen sink, washing the same dishes you've washed for 40 years, tears mixing with dish soap, wondering if God even remembers your name? How many times have you sat in that same chair in your living room, feeling invisible, feeling forgotten, feeling like everyone moved on with their lives while yours stayed frozen in place? I need you to hear this. God hasn't forgotten you. He's been building something in the invisible realm while you've been breaking in the visible one. You want to know what 2 Timothy 4:7 really means when Paul says, I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. It doesn't mean Paul had an easy journey. It means he made it to the finish line even though everything in hell tried to stop him. He didn't say I had a comfortable race. He said I finished it. And you know what comes after finishing the race? Verse 8. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. The crown. Not the participation trophy. Not the consolation prize. The crown. But here's what most people miss. Paul didn't receive his crown because he was perfect. He received it because he endured, because he kept going when every bone in his body screamed to quit. Because he finished what God started in him, even when finishing looked impossible. You're in the same race right now. And I know you're tired. I know your knees hurt. I know you can barely see the finish line through the tears. But can I tell you something that's going to change everything? You are not being crushed. You are being crowned. Read that again. Let it sink deep into the broken places. You are not being crushed. You are being crowned. That pressure you feel, that's the weight of glory being positioned over your head. That pain in your chest, that's your heart expanding to hold the level of anointing God is about to pour into you. That exhaustion in your bones, that's the old you dying so the crowned you can emerge. Every king had to be broken before they were crowned. David was anointed king at 17, but he didn't wear the crown until he was 30. 13 years of running, hiding, living in caves, being hunted like an animal. 13 years of wondering if God forgot the promise. But when David finally sat on that throne, every cave he hid in, every tear he cried, every moment he could have killed Saul, but didn't, all of it became the foundation of his reign. Your waiting wasn't wasted. Your pain wasn't pointless. Your breaking wasn't random. You were being prepared to wear a crown that requires the kind of character only forged in fire. And right now, this very moment, heaven is looking at you and saying, they're ready. They've endured enough. They've proven they won't quit. They've shown they'll trust me even in the dark. It's time to crown them. But here's where it gets personal. Here's where I need you to really listen. That crown isn't coming so you can finally relax. It's coming so you can finally run. It's not coming so you can retire from the race. It's coming so you can finish it with authority. The crown of endurance isn't decoration, it's declaration. It declares to every demon in hell and every angel in heaven, this one refused to quit. This one wouldn't bow. This one made it through the fire, and now they carry the authority that comes with survival. Do you understand what this means? When you walk into that hospital room tomorrow to visit your sick friend, you're not walking in as a fellow sufferer. You're walking in crowned. When you speak to your grandchildren, you're not just a grandmother. You're speaking with the authority of someone who endured and won. Your words carry more weight now. Your prayers have more power. Your presence shifts atmospheres because you've earned the crown that only comes through the fire. Psalm 34:18 promises, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." He doesn't distance himself from your pain. He draws near to it. He sits with you in it. And then when the breaking is complete, he reaches down, lifts you up, and places a crown on your head that makes demons tremble. So let me ask you, are you still standing? After the betrayal, after the diagnosis, after the loss, after the rejection, after the financial devastation, after everything hell threw at you, are you still here? Then type it right now. Don't just think it, declare it. Let heaven record your victory. I still stand. Because if you're still standing after everything you've been through, you're not barely surviving, you're being crowned. And crowned people don't beg. Crowned people don't cower. Crowned people walk into their destiny knowing that every battle they survived was preparation for the authority they now carry. The breaking is over. The crowning has begun. And what God is about to do with your crowned life will make every moment of pain worth it. But first, you have to see yourself the way heaven sees you, not as broken, but as crowned. Not as crushed, but as conquering. Not as barely making it, but as born for this exact moment. Your crown is rising. Will you reach up and receive it? The air feels different now, doesn't it? Something shifted while you were watching. The storm in your chest, the one that's been raging for months, maybe years, it just stopped. And now there's this silence. But it's not empty silence, it hums, like the moment after lightning strikes and the whole world holds its breath, waiting to see what survives. You're still here, against every odd, against every voice that said you wouldn't make it, against the depression that whispered, just give up, against the diagnosis that tried to write your ending, against the betrayal that should have destroyed you, against the financial collapse that was supposed to bury you. You're still here. But here's what you need to understand. Chosen one surviving the test wasn't the finish line, it was the entrance exam. Because now comes the part most believers never reach. Now comes the audit. Now heaven begins to reveal what was really being measured, while you thought you were just trying to survive. Look at your hands right now. Really look at them. They're trembling slightly, aren't they? That's not fear anymore. That's recognition. Your spirit knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. You didn't just endure a season of testing. You just graduated from God's Advanced Warfare Academy, and the angels are watching to see if you realize what you've become. You think you're the same person who started this video. You're not. You're like those soldiers in Judges 7, the ones Gideon had left after God whittled down 32,000 men to just 300. You know what made those 300 different? They drank water differently. While everyone else got comfortable, put their face in the stream and forgot to watch for enemies, those 300 stayed alert. They cupped water to their mouths while keeping their eyes on the horizon. God wasn't testing their thirst. He was testing their awareness. And you, beloved, you just proved you know how to drink from the well without losing sight of the battle. You stayed alert when others numbed out. You kept praying when others gave up. You held on to faith when letting go would have been easier. But now comes the revelation that's going to change everything. Psalm 66:10 says, "For you, God, tested us. You refined us like silver." Notice that word refined. Not destroyed, not diminished. Refined. Silver doesn't know it's being refined when it's in the fire. It just knows the heat is unbearable. But the silversmith knows exactly what he's doing. He's not trying to harm the silver. He's removing everything that isn't silver. The dross, the impurity, the contamination. And do you know when the silversmith knows the refining is complete? When he can see his own reflection in the silver. That's what just happened to you. God looked into your life after this test and finally saw his own reflection staring back. Not your fear, not your doubt, not your old patterns. His reflection, his character, his strength flowing through your veins. Type "I'm still here" in the comments right now if you can feel this truth settling into your bones. Because when you declare that, you're not just acknowledging survival, you're announcing arrival. You're telling heaven and hell, I made it through, and now I'm ready for the revelation you've been holding back until I could handle it. The battlefield is quiet now. Morning mist is rolling across the ground. You look around and realize the weapon in your hand isn't the same one you picked up yesterday. It's heavier, sharper, forged in fires that would have melted lesser metals. And the enemy's army? They're not advancing anymore. They're hesitating, because they can see something in your eyes they've never seen before. Authority, not the kind you fake, not the kind you borrow, the kind that comes from surviving what should have killed you and coming out stronger on the other side. But here's where most people stumble. They survive the test, feel the relief, and think it's time to rest. They put down their weapons. They let their guard down. They assume the battle is over because the noise stopped. Beloved, the noise stopped because you leveled up. You're not in the beginner's training ground anymore. You just qualified for the advanced mission. And what God is about to reveal to you in the next section will explain why every door had to close, why every person had to leave, why every plan had to fail. Because you weren't being punished, you were being prepared. Job 23:10 thunders this truth. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. Not if, when, not maybe, will. This isn't hopeful thinking. This is prophetic certainty. You will come forth as gold. You are coming forth as gold. Right now, right here, in this moment. The audit heaven is running right now isn't to judge you. It's to authenticate you. To verify that what you carry is real. That your faith isn't performance. That your praise isn't pretense. That your worship isn't manipulation to get blessings. They needed to know, and now they do, that you love God even when he doesn't move on your timeline. That you trust him even when you can't trace him. That you'll serve him even when the harvest hasn't come yet. And now that heaven knows, oh beloved, now that heaven knows you're authentic, now that they've certified you're not a fake, not a fraud, not a fair weather believer, everything changes. Because God doesn't download his most powerful assignments into unreliable vessels. He doesn't hand kingdom keys to people who'll drop them the first time life gets hard. He doesn't position quitters for permanent victory. But you just proved you're built for this. So here's my question, and your answer will determine whether you step into the next level or camp out in this relief. Now that you know you passed the test, now that you realize you've been refined, now that you understand you're carrying authenticated authority, what are you going to do with it? Because the revelation waiting for you in the next moments will show you exactly why God needed you to survive this specific test before he could reveal this specific assignment. There's a room in heaven you've never seen, a chamber so sacred that even angels must remove their crowns before entering. And right now, this very moment, the door to that room just opened with your name carved into the frame. You want to know what's inside? Your tears, every single one, hanging on walls like trophies in golden vials, each labeled with the exact date, time, and reason you cried. The night your spouse walked out bottled, the morning you got the diagnosis preserved. The moment you realized your children had drifted so far you couldn't reach them anymore, catalogued in crystal. Revelation 21:4 promises that God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. But before he wipes them, beloved, he collects them, because to heaven, your tears aren't waste. They're evidence. They're proof that you loved hard enough to hurt, believed deep enough to be disappointed, and trusted long enough to feel abandoned. But here's what's going to wreck you. In that room, there's something else, something that will drop you to your knees when you finally see it. A screen, massive, stretching across the entire northern wall, and on that screen your life is playing, not the version you remember, the version heaven recorded. Every test, every trial, every moment you thought God wasn't watching, he was filming. You remember that Tuesday afternoon 15 years ago when you sat in your car in the grocery store parking lot and wept so hard you couldn't breathe? You thought you were alone. Look at the screen. 7 angels surrounding your vehicle. Michael himself standing guard at your driver's side door because hell had sent an assignment to push you into traffic that day. But heaven said, "Not this one. This one still has destiny to fulfill." You remember the job interview that went so perfectly, the position that seemed tailor-made for your skill set, and then the rejection email that came 3 days later. You called it failure. Look at the screen. Watch what would have happened if you'd gotten that job. See that manager? 3 months later, he'd have been indicted for embezzlement. Everyone under him dragged into federal investigation. Your reputation destroyed. Your retirement savings seized as evidence. God didn't deny you that job. He defended you from a disaster you couldn't see coming. You remember the relationship that ended so abruptly it left you questioning your worth for years. You called it heartbreak. Look at the screen. Fast forward 5 years. Watch what that person became. See the addiction, the rage, the pattern of abuse that would have shattered you beyond recognition. What you named punishment, God labeled protection. But here's where it gets unbearable. Here's where grown men fall to their faces, and women who've been strong their whole lives finally let themselves break. Look closer at that screen. See those moments when you prayed and heard nothing, when you begged for answers and got silence, when you cried out for help and felt abandoned. You weren't. Every single prayer is there, recorded, time-stamped. And next to each one, in handwriting that could only be divine, are notes, strategy notes, battle plans, detailed explanations of what heaven was doing while you thought heaven was doing nothing. That season, when you lost everything, your savings, your home, your sense of security, read God's notation. Financial reset required, removing Egyptian gold before promising land entrance. Cannot carry old wealth into new territory. Trust level, insufficient. Developing faith muscles through economic resistance training. That year, when every door slammed shut and every opportunity evaporated, read the Father's handwriting, redirecting from good to perfect. Subject keeps settling for human approval. Must isolate to eliminate counterfeit voices, preparing ears to hear only heaven's frequency. That illness that wouldn't heal, that pain that wouldn't leave, that thorn that stayed embedded no matter how hard you prayed. Look at Paul's words in 2 Corinthians 12-9. "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Read God's commentary. Allowed extended suffering to develop compassion for future ministry. Will use this exact pain to heal thousands. Necessary preparation for upcoming assignment. Cannot skip this chapter. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You weren't being watched to be judged. You were being filmed to be remembered. Every moment of faithfulness when no one was looking, recorded. Every act of kindness when you had nothing left to give, documented. Every time you chose forgiveness over bitterness, hope over despair, praise over complaint, preserved in high definition for all of eternity. Job never knew why he suffered. He just knew he wouldn't curse God. But Job 42-12 reveals the outcome. The Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. Why? Because heaven was recording. Because his story wasn't just for him, it was for every person who would ever face unexplainable suffering and need proof that trusting God in the dark still leads to breakthrough in the light. You think your test was punishment? It was preparation. You think your trial was random? It was orchestrated. You think your delay was denial? It was divine development. And here's the part that's going to change everything. The same God who recorded every tear, every prayer, Every moment of faithfulness. He's about to press play on the blessing. He's been preparing while you were being tested. If this truth is hitting your spirit like lightning right now, type HE recorded it in the comments. Because when you declare that publicly, something shifts in the invisible realm. You're not just acknowledging God's sovereignty, you're activating the reward He's been holding in reserve. But we're not done yet, because now I have to show you what's written on the door as you exit that sacred room. 5 words that will either terrify you or transform you. Now comes the recompense. Silence. Can you hear it? That deafening quiet that just filled the room. That's not emptiness, chosen one. That's the sound of heaven's war room going still. Every angel just stopped mid-motion. Every elder just leaned forward. Because right now, this exact second, Archangel Michael is stepping forward with something that has your name written across the top in letters of burning gold. Your report. Not a report about you. A report for you. Every act of faith you thought disappeared into darkness. Every moment of obedience when no one was watching. Every tear you cried alone in your car, in your bedroom, on your knees at 3 a.m. when sleep wouldn't come and hope felt like a cruel joke. Heaven documented it all. Listen to me. While you were down here thinking God forgot about you, Michael was recording. While you were convinced your faithfulness didn't matter because nothing changed, heaven was weighing every second. While you felt invisible, forgotten, passed over the courts of eternity, were building a case file that would silence every accusation the enemy ever whispered in your ear. And now Michael reads it aloud. Subject: chosen vessel, marked before time, activated now. His voice doesn't shake. Angels don't do uncertainty. Evidence submitted for review, patience tested under extreme duress. Result: passed. Obedience tested without explanation or reward. Result: passed. Forgiveness demanded when justice was deserved. Result: passed. Restraint required when retaliation was justified. Result: passed. Do you understand what this means? Every moment you chose silence over defense recorded. Every time you bit your tongue when you had the right to lash out documented. Every instance you forgave when you had every earthly reason to stay bitter, weighed and measured in heaven's economy. You thought those moments didn't count because nobody saw them. But Michael saw them, the Father saw them, and now they're reading them back like evidence in the highest court that ever existed. Here's what makes your report different from most. It's not the big dramatic moments heaven celebrated. It's not the Sunday morning worship or the public prayers, or the times you raised your hands in church while everyone watched. It's the Tuesday afternoons, the 2 a.m. battles, the silent car rides when you could have gossiped but chose to pray instead, the phone calls where you swallowed your pride, the conversations where you told the truth even though the lie would have been easier. Those are the entries that made Michael's list glow brighter. You see, hell doesn't fear your loud declarations. Demons don't flee from your passionate worship services. What terrifies the kingdom of darkness is your quiet, stubborn, relentless faithfulness when nobody's looking. That's what breaks their strategies. That's what dismantles their plans. Proverbs 16:32 puts it plainly. Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control, than one who takes a city. You wanted to be a warrior taking cities. God needed you to be something more powerful, a patient soul taking territory in the invisible realm through sheer, silent endurance. And now heaven has proof. Undeniable, documented, irrefutable proof that you can be trusted. But here's where your breath should catch in your throat. Here's where Michael's voice drops to something that makes even the seraphim go quiet. There's one section of your report still sealed. One part labeled in handwriting so ancient, so sacred, that only the Father's fingerprints can open it. It's called Next Assignment. You thought you were being tested for what you lost. God was testing you for what you're about to receive. You thought those years of silence were punishment. They were preparation for an assignment so massive that if you had known about it earlier, the weight would have crushed you before you were ready. But you're ready now, aren't you? The fire didn't destroy you, it refined you. The pressure didn't break you, it forged you into something unbreakable. The silence didn't kill your faith, it deepened your roots so far into the bedrock of divine truth that no storm coming will ever uproot you again. Here's what I need you to understand. Michael isn't reading this report to inform heaven. Heaven already knows. He's reading it so you finally know. So you can stop questioning whether your faithfulness mattered. So you can stop wondering if God saw what you sacrificed. So you can stop believing the enemy's lie that your obedience went unnoticed. Every single act is written there. Every tear is catalogued. Psalm 56:8 tells us, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." But here's the part that will wreck you. Those tears aren't just recorded as evidence of your pain. They're being measured as currency in heaven's economy. Each one is a diamond that tips the scale of destiny in your favor. Your suffering wasn't wasted, it was invested. And now the return on that investment is about to be released. Michael's report concludes with a statement that makes the enemy tremble. Silence carried more weight than words ever could. Subject approved for elevation. Authority granted. Assignment pending revelation. Awaiting final clearance from the throne. That clearance is happening right now, right this second. The seal is breaking on that final section, the part you've been waiting your whole life to read. But here's the question that will determine everything. Are you ready to see it? Are you ready to know what all those years of testing were preparing you for? Are you ready to step into an assignment so specifically designed for you that no one else on earth could possibly fulfill it? If your spirit is screaming yes, if something inside you just stood at attention like a soldier hearing their name called, then type 2 words in the comments. Show me. Not because I need to see it, because heaven needs to see your agreement. Because the moment you declare your readiness, the seal breaks. The assignment reveals itself. And everything you thought you knew about your purpose gets rewritten in real time. Your report is complete. Your faithfulness is documented. Your tears have been counted. Now the only question left is, what will you do when you finally see what God has been preparing you for all along? You survived the fire. You endured the storm. You made it through the valleys that should have buried you. And now comes the test nobody warned you about. Can you believe when you don't feel anything anymore? Can you trust God when the butterflies are gone, when the goosebumps have faded, when the worship songs that once made you weep now just play in the background while you fold laundry? Can you stand firm when answered prayer feels hollow and breakthrough tastes like ashes in your mouth? This is winter faith, beloved. The faith that blooms in frost, the faith that doesn't need emotion to survive. And it's the loneliest season you'll ever walk through. You prayed for decades, you fasted, you believed, you declared. And then one day God actually answered. The door opened, the check came, the diagnosis changed, the prodigal came home. Everything you begged heaven for finally manifested. So why do you feel so empty? Why does victory feel like silence? Why does answered prayer feel like abandonment? Why, after all those years of warfare, does peace terrify you more than the battle ever did? I'll tell you why. Because you spent so long being a warrior that you forgot how to be royalty. You got so accustomed to fighting that you don't know how to reign. You became so familiar with desperation that rest feels like deception. Let me speak directly to you, dear one, you who've lived 60, 70, 80 years on this earth. You waited your whole life for peace. You prayed for the day when the struggle would stop, when you could finally breathe, when you wouldn't have to fight just to survive. And now it's here, and it scares you to death. Because the chaos was familiar, the crisis gave you purpose, the emergency kept you alert. But this quietness, this stillness, this feels like the calm before heaven forgets about you completely. But what if I told you that this silence isn't abandonment, it's authentication? What if this emptiness isn't God leaving you, it's God trusting you with a leadership you've never carried before? Job 23, 10 declares, "But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold." Notice it doesn't say if he tests you, it says when. The testing isn't punishment, it's promotion. You see, the fire proved you could survive. The wilderness proved you could endure. The valley proved you wouldn't quit. But this silence, this emotionless, butterflies gone, feelings dried up season of winter faith, this proves you can lead. Leaders don't need applause to keep moving. Kings don't need emotion to keep ruling. Generals don't need feelings to keep commanding. And chosen ones don't need goosebumps to keep believing. You're not losing your faith, beloved. You're being entrusted with a dimension of faith that doesn't depend on feelings. You're being promoted from worshipper to priest, from student to teacher, from survivor to general. Moses didn't feel excited when God told him to go back to Egypt at 80 years old. Abraham didn't get butterflies when God said, "Sacrifice Isaac." Mary didn't feel warm and fuzzy when the angel said, "You're pregnant and nobody will believe you." But they moved anyway. They obeyed anyway. They led anyway. Not because they felt like it, but because they were chosen for it. Right now, someone reading this is wrestling with guilt because worship doesn't move you like it used to. You think something's wrong with your faith because prayer feels mechanical. You're afraid you've backslidden because the presence of God doesn't make you cry anymore. Let me shatter that lie right now. Maturity doesn't always feel good. Growth doesn't always come with emotion. Promotion often feels like isolation. You haven't lost your anointing. You've graduated into a level where your obedience isn't fueled by feelings, it's anchored in choice. Where your faith isn't validated by goosebumps, it's confirmed by covenant. Habakkuk 3:17-18 says it perfectly. "Though the fig tree does not bud and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God my Savior. Though, yet." That's winter faith. That's frost-blooming trust. That's believing when everything says quit, feeling when everything feels dead, standing when emotion says sit down. The enemy wants you to think this silence means you've been disqualified, but heaven knows something different. Heaven knows that the ones who can worship without goosebumps, believe without butterflies, and lead without applause, those are the ones ready to carry nations. You're not in a dry season, you're in a trust promotion. So I'm asking you right now, will you lead even when you don't feel like it? Will you believe even when emotion has abandoned you? Will you stand in winter and declare, "Yet I will trust him"? Type "I'm still leading" in the comments. Not as a feeling, as a covenant, as a declaration that your faith isn't dependent on emotion anymore. It's rooted in eternity, because the fire proved you could survive, but the silence will prove you can lead. And what's coming next, what heaven is about to release through your winter faith, will make every dry season worth it. What's about to break loose will require a leader who doesn't need feelings to obey, who doesn't need signs to step forward, who doesn't need emotion to keep moving. Are you that leader? Then stay with me, because the blueprint for what comes next will rewrite everything you thought you knew about faith, feeling, and the finishing line. You remember their faces, don't you? The ones who laughed when your business collapsed. The family members who said you'd never amount to anything. The so-called friends who walked away when the diagnosis came. The church folk who whispered behind your back when your marriage fell apart. The boss who passed you over year after year. The neighbors who smirked when the foreclosure sign went up. You remember every single one of them. Their names are etched in your memory like scars on your heart. And here's what the enemy counted on. He thought those wounds would make you bitter. He thought the betrayal would make you quit. He thought the mockery would convince you that God had forgotten your name. But chosen one, let me tell you something that's about to shake the foundations of hell itself. Heaven keeps records too. While you were crying yourself to sleep, wondering if God saw what they did to you, the courts of heaven were in session. While you were questioning whether you'd survive another day of humiliation, divine attorneys were building your case. While you thought you were abandoned, the judge of all creation was signing verdicts with your enemies' names on them. Isaiah 54:17 doesn't whisper. It thunders. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me. Read that again. Vindication. Not from your own efforts, not from your own scheming. From Him. From the one who sits above every principality, every power, every person who ever tried to destroy you. But here's where it gets absolutely breathtaking. God doesn't just dismiss your case. He doesn't just defend you. He reverses the verdict and makes your accusers pay restitution. He takes everything the enemy stole, your reputation, your peace, your years, your joy, and He doesn't just give it back. He multiplies it. He parades it. He makes it so public, so undeniable, so supernatural, that everyone who ever doubted you will have no choice but to admit they were wrong. Job understood this. After everything hell threw at him, dead children, destroyed wealth, a body covered in boils, friends turned accusers, a wife telling him to curse God and die. After all of that, Job 42:10 declares, "The Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before." Twice as much. Not the same, not just recovery. Double. But here's what will break you. It says God restored him when he prayed for his friends, the very people who kicked him when he was down, the ones who accused him of secret sin, the ones who said his suffering was punishment from God. Job had to pray for them before his reversal came. Can you do that, chosen one? Can you forgive the ones who wounded you? Because your vindication isn't about revenge, it's about release. It's about cutting the chains that bind you to bitterness so you can walk freely into the future God has prepared. Right now, in the courts of heaven, scrolls are being unrolled with the names of everyone who cursed your calling. Not for revenge, for reversal. God is about to flip the script so dramatically that what they meant for evil will become the very platform for your greatest testimony. The manager who fired you. That company is about to need you as a consultant at triple your old salary. The spouse who abandoned you. You're about to meet someone who treats you like the treasure you've always been. The critics who said you'd never succeed. They're about to buy tickets to your book tour. The disease the doctors said would kill you. Your healing testimony is about to fill stadiums. Listen to me carefully. What they buried in secret, God is resurrecting in public. That dream they mocked, it's about to manifest so powerfully they'll claim they always believed in you. That calling they laughed at, it's about to impact more lives than they'll touch in their lifetime. That gift they said was worthless, God is about to monetize it beyond your wildest imagination. Psalm 23:5 promised you this moment. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Not away from them, not hidden from them. In their presence. God is setting a feast in front of you, and He's sending invitations to everyone who ever counted you out. They're going to watch you eat. They're going to watch you laugh. They're going to watch you thrive. And the only thing you need to say is, "Thank you, Jesus." Your tears are about to turn into testimony. Your pain is about to turn into praise. Your setback is about to turn into the greatest comeback your family line has ever witnessed. Type "It's my reversal season" if something in your spirit just exploded with holy expectation. Because when you declare it, you're not hoping, you're prophesying. You're calling those things that are not as though they already are. But beloved, vindication without preparation would destroy you. And that's exactly why the delay happened. That's precisely why you had to go through the fire. Because what's coming next requires a different version of you. Chosen one, if you've stayed with me through this entire journey, that alone tells me something profound about you. It tells me you're not a quitter. It tells me that even when your faith feels fragile, there's something unbreakable in your spirit that refuses to let go of God's promises. So before you close this page and return to your world, let me remind you of what you need to carry with you into tomorrow. Remember this: the test you're facing right now isn't punishment, it's preparation. Every closed door wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Every delay wasn't denial, it was divine development. God hasn't forgotten your name. He hasn't abandoned your case. He hasn't moved on to someone else. Right now, at this very moment, He is working behind the scenes, moving mountains you cannot see, opening doors you haven't found yet, and orchestrating blessings you cannot even imagine. The 55 seconds that brought you here weren't random. The courtroom of heaven is still in session, and the verdict has already been written in your favor. But more than that, and hear my heart on this, you are never walking this journey alone. Even when the road feels impossible, even when the silence feels deafening, even when doubt whispers lies in the darkness, the Creator of the universe is fighting for you. He sees every tear you've cried in secret. He knows every battle you fought in silence. He feels the weight you carry that no one else understands. And right here, in this community of believers, you have thousands of brothers and sisters who understand your struggle, who believe in your calling, and who are ready to stand with you in prayer. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're a family knit together by faith, connected by hope, and bound by the love of Christ. Let me ask you this, and let it settle deep in your soul. If God brought you through every storm up until now, through every valley, every betrayal, every moment that nearly broke you, why would He abandon you now, just before your breakthrough? He wouldn't. He won't. He never will. Now, before you go, I want to do something that I pray will mark this moment as sacred in your memory. I want to place my hand on your shoulder through these words and pray over your life with the authority of 50 years walking with the Almighty. Close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath and receive this blessing. Heavenly Father, I lift up every precious soul who has journeyed with us through this message. Lord, you see them right now, not just their faces, but their hearts. You know the secret pain they carry. You've counted every tear that's fallen when no one was watching. You've heard every prayer they've whispered in desperation. You've felt every moment they wanted to give up but chose to trust you one more day. Father, I decree and declare over their lives right now that their season of testing is coming to an end and their season of testimony is beginning. Release the breakthrough they've been praying for. Open the doors that no man can shut. Bring the divine connections that will accelerate their purpose. Pour out provision that defies every economic law and human limitation. Lord, heal their bodies. Touch every place of pain, every cell of sickness, every source of suffering. Speak life, speak health, speak wholeness over them right now. Restore their families. Mend the broken relationships. Soften the hardened hearts. Bring reconciliation where there's been division. Let love flow where there's been bitterness. Multiply their finances. Cancel every debt. Break every cycle of poverty. Release supernatural favor that opens financial doors they never even knocked on. Let abundance overflow in their lives, not just for themselves, but so they can be a blessing to others. Protect them, Father. Send your angels to guard their steps, their homes, their loved ones. Cover them with your wings. Let no weapon formed against them prosper. Silence every lying tongue that rises against them. Most of all, Lord, remind them every single morning when they open their eyes that they are chosen, they are loved, they are never forgotten, and they are never alone. Let them feel your presence in every room they enter. Let them sense your peace in every storm they face. Let them know, truly know, that you are working all things together for their good. Give them strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Let this be the moment everything changes. Let this be the night their faith becomes sight. In the mighty, matchless name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. Now, beloved, I want to hear from you. Don't let this be a one-way conversation. In the comments below, tell me what God spoke to your heart during this message. Share what you're believing Him for in this season. Tell us your testimony of His faithfulness. And if you need prayer, if you're walking through something that feels impossible, ask this community to stand with you. We will surround you with intercession. We will lift your name before the throne. We will fight alongside you in the Spirit. And please, if this message touched your soul, share it with someone who needs to hear that their breakthrough is closer than they think. Share it with the single mother who's barely holding on. Share it with the elderly saint who thinks their best days are behind them. Share it with the young person who's lost hope. Because when we lift each other up, when we speak life into one another, heaven accelerates what's already in motion. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You're not just subscribing to a channel, you're joining a movement of chosen ones who refuse to give up, who refuse to settle, who refuse to believe that God's best is out of reach. Thank you for giving me this hour of your life. Thank you for opening your heart. Thank you for trusting me to speak truth over your situation. I don't take that lightly, and I pray that years from now, you'll look back on this moment as the night everything shifted. Go now in peace. Go in power. Go in the absolute certainty that your God is with you. Your victory is certain, and your reversal season has already begun. You are chosen. You are loved. You are not alone. And the best is yet to come.